Hello everyone, and thank you for taking a few minutes to talk about something that sits at the center of literacy development, listening and speaking. When we think about literacy, we often focus on reading and writing. However, long before children can read a book or write a sentence, they are developing the oral language skills that make those abilities possible. Children can listen to and talk about ideas that are much more complex than what they can read or write independently. Because of this, understanding how listening and speaking develop and how they influence literacy is essential for teachers, especially those working with young learners and students with diverse needs. From birth through preschool years, children rapidly develop listening and speaking skills. According to early listening standards, infants begin by recognizing familiar voices and responding to sounds. As they grow into toddlers, they start to understand simple directions, identify familiar objects, and use single words and short phrases to communicate needs and ideas. By preschool, children typically engage in conversations, ask and answer questions, and use increasingly complex vocabulary and sentence structures. Early learning frameworks emphasize that children at this stage should be able to participate in conversations, follow multi-step directions, and retell familiar stories. These early listening and speaking experiences are critical because they help children build vocabulary, understand sentence structure, and develop comprehension skills that later support reading. As children enter kindergarten and move through primary grades, listening and speaking skills continue to grow in complexity. Academic standards emphasize abilities such as participating in collaborative conversations, asking and answering questions about texts, and describing ideas clearly. For example, the Common Core state standards highlight that the students in kindergarten through third grade should be able to listen to others' ideas, build conversations, and present information using clear language and appropriate details. During these years, the oral language becomes closely connected with literacy instruction. Classroom discussions, read-alouds, and storytelling activities help students strengthen comprehension, expand vocabulary, and practice organizing their thoughts. For some children, language development does not follow typical patterns. Language delays can affect both receptive language, which is the ability to understand spoken language, and expressive language, which involves communicating thoughts and ideas verbally. When children experience delays in listening and speaking, they may have difficulty following directions, participating in conversations, and expressing their ideas clearly. These challenges can also affect social interactions and classroom participation. Research shows that early language delays are strongly linked to later difficulties in reading comprehension and writing development if they are not addressed early. Because of this, identification and intervention are especially important in early childhood and primarily the classrooms. Listening and speaking skills form the foundation for reading and writing development. Oral language helps children build vocabulary knowledge, understand grammar and sentence structure, and develop comprehension skills. These abilities directly support decoding, reading comprehension, and written expression. For example, when children listen to the stories and discuss them, they learn how narratives are structured. When they participate in conversations, they practice organizing their thoughts and explaining ideas. These same skills are later used when students read texts and write their own stories or responses. Strong oral language skills also help the children develop phonological awareness, which is the ability to recognize and manipulate sounds in spoken language. This skill is a key predictor of early reading success. Because of this connection, providing opportunities for students to engage in meaningful conversations, storytelling, and collaborative discussions is one of the most effective ways teachers can support literacy development. Listening and speaking are not separate from literacy. They are the foundation of literacy. From birth through early elementary years, children develop the oral language skills that allow them to understand texts, communicate ideas, and become confident readers and writers. By intentionally creating opportunities for students to listen, speak, and engage in meaningful conversations, educators can strengthen these foundational skills and support literacy development for all learners. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on how listening and speaking shape the path to reading and writing success.